here's the inside of the trailer as it comes from the factory. It's pretty standard. 3/4 inch plywood floors and 3/8 inch plywood walls. It does have some roof insulation here to help with the heat. And I'm assuming the cold also. So the plan is to paint the walls and paint the floor. I got two different paints. For the walls, like an anti-scuff paint, and then for the floor, higher traction paint. And then once it's painted, I want to put down 2 E-tracks, one on each side for start, and see how that kind of gets me by. I think it'll do most of what I want, but I'm assuming I'm going to end up with some X-tracks on the walls here and there to try and secure some items from flying around when I'm driving. But one step at a time. I don't want to put in holes I don't need. So I'm going to first tape off some things here to make sure I can do a clean paint job. I think half of painting is really masking. So I don't want to get paint on like these beams and whatnot. So I'm going to tape off all this stuff to make sure that I don't have too much run over. I'm assuming I'm still going to have some, but you know, goal is to minimize that so it looks pretty good. And then the door is kind of this weird cream color. It's kind of hard to tell. It might be grayish white, it might be cream. I might leave it as is. We'll see how it looks when everything else is painted. Or I may paint that as well. And then from then on, I'm assuming I'm going to probably do some other things to the trailer, but that'll at least get me by to start using it with the dirt bike. Alrighty, so I taped off all the surfaces I didn't really want to paint. It's not a perfect job. Like any mass-produced trailer, there is some uneven application of caulking paste and screws and whatnot. I had to do the best I can. Luckily, most of the surfaces I taped off are this aluminum that's pretty smooth, and so I'm using a water-based paint. I should be able to wash off or scrape off any mistakes, but the initial coat's going to just be a base coat, so that's all I'm covering. And then after that, I'm going to put additional masking tape along the bottom of the walls once I paint the walls, to basically not get any of that paint on the floor and vice versa, because those are going to be two different paints. Like I said, there are some screws protruding where I'm going to have to be careful, but I'm not too worried. Majority of this is just cosmetic anyway, so I just didn't want it to look super messy. Now it's time to apply the first coat of the base paint. So I forgot to show you guys the primer coat, actually 2 coats of primer that I did. And I actually got started on the first coat of the inside wall color. So this is probably not going to get picked up really well color wise, but it's going to be like a steel gray. And then the floor is going to be like a darker gray, except the walls are a like scuff-free paint sort of that you can easily wipe off. And then the floor is going to be a high traction paint, hopefully. Never done this before, so I'm kind of playing it by ear. And then at some point I'm gonna have to paint this door because now it's an eyesore. This cream color is just not gonna cut it. But I wanna get this trailer ready for the upcoming weekends because it's getting warm here finally. So I wanna get the primary coats done so I can get my E-tracks down on the floor and I can start bringing the bike, and then the door I can paint at a later date. So far it's been going pretty good. There is a bunch of silicone along the edges, pretty much everywhere. That's a good thing, you know, from a construction perspective of the trailer, but it's kind of a pain in the butt to paint because paint doesn't really stick to it super well. Otherwise, it's been pretty good. I do have some, you know, run over here and there, but again, this paint is water-based, so I should be able to clean it off of the aluminum kind of liners that I might be accidentally painting. So any case, I'm pretty happy with it so far. I'm gonna keep pushing on this coat, and then I'm gonna need to do a second coat. And after that, I'll swap over the tape onto the upper edge and then do the floor as the last thing. Because right now I'm getting some drips here and there, as you can kind of tell, and I'm walking on it. So floor is gonna be last, obviously, so that I don't get any paint on it. I'll bring you guys back when this first coat is done. So I got the inside of the trailer painted now. The second coat is still drying, so the color isn't quite what it will be. And again, I don't think it's going to get picked up super well. It doesn't match the roof as well as I was hoping, but I was kind of picking the color by eye at Home Depot without really a sample. I think it's close enough. I didn't want it to be too dark because then it'll be kind of depressing in here. And I also didn't want it too light because then I feel like every little smudge would show up. It's like a steel color, so I'm pretty happy with it. In general, I like silvers and blacks, and I think this will work. So I'm gonna let this dry a bit more, and probably in about an hour or so, I'm gonna peel off this bottom tape, retape the bottom on the side, and then try to get at least the first coat of the floor today, so that I can do a second coat either later tonight or tomorrow morning, and then get this trailer ready for the weekend, because I think there's a ride coming up Saturday. So I'm finished with the painting. I even took off the masking tape so you guys can get the full effect. I did get some paint on some of the aluminum pieces that I'm going to have to scrape off, but it's not a huge deal. Overall, it turned out pretty good. So I got these light gray walls and a kind of a darker gray ceiling, and the floor actually matches the ceiling for the most part. And the floor is this texture paint, so it's pretty grippy when you walk on it, which would be nice for when I'm, in here with wet boots and mud everywhere. So it should help. So next step is to get some E-tracks in here and then install the Easy Chuck and test fit the bike. So I'm pretty excited. This took a lot of hours, but it turned out pretty decent. And since this is a dirt bike trailer, it's gonna get muddy and filthy pretty quickly. So this is just to protect the wood and make it look somewhat presentable. Anyway, I'll bring you guys back when I have that installed. All right, I got the E-tracks installed, so it took a little while. I have 2 5-foot sections on each side, so 10 feet. And then I got this Easy Chuck that will hopefully do the job. I think it turned out pretty good. I did go overboard and use every hole. But the good news is I did also get to use each of the cross member beams. So you can see kind of like right here where those 4 screws are on the sides, and then the center one. So these are secured to the rails of the trailer itself in 2 spots each. So that's pretty good. I don't think they're going to go anywhere, and I'm pretty happy. So basically ready to load, except there's one more thing I want to try to get done today, which might be tricky given that the sun's going down, but we'll try. So let's see if we can make that happen. All right, so this is the side of the trailer. It looks pretty good, but there's one thing I really want to change. It's something I change in all my vehicles. So this is the before, and this is the after. Yep. So I got some new wheels for the trailer. I couldn't deal with the stock steel wheels. I also went out from a 205 to 225 tire, and I think these look a lot better given the kind of gray and silver theme of the trailer in general. Also raised it off the ground maybe another inch or so, which is probably good. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with how everything turned out. And I need to finish the other side and then load the trailer up for the ride tomorrow. All right, so just got back from a ride. The trailer worked out pretty good. Minor hiccups. I think the paint on the floor wasn't as dry as I was hoping. Do have a little bit of indentation from the knobbies. Might have to do some touching up. Everything else worked out pretty good. The bike is a little far forward. I think I'm gonna move it back a little bit more, but I'm using this Moto Pro HQ Easy Chuck with some stickers of my own. But that worked out pretty good. I originally had it with 4 straps, but a buddy helped me out after the ride and got it down with just 2 straps. You can see I got all my garbage up front here. So the plan is to put a shelf in there so I have something to set my helmet on and things like that when I'm getting ready, and then put some additional restraints underneath there so I can keep all that stuff secured. It didn't really move anywhere. I think it's fine even if I didn't have any restraints, but I would sleep a little better knowing that things are at least bungee cord or something. But yeah, I'm pretty happy, and it was nice to be able to change in a trailer rather than getting naked in front of a whole bunch of strangers, which is what I've been doing for the last 2 years. You guys missed out. Anyway, not really a review of the trailer, more of a step-by-step process of what I did to kind of make it mine. Still have to paint the door. So there is, you know, a list of things I want to do. But yeah, I'm pretty happy. And hopefully this was helpful to someone. And if you guys have any questions or comments or just want to tell me that I did something wrong, feel free. And I'll see you in the comments.